In this chapter, we'll look at types of intelligence tests and how we assess intelligence. There are two different categories of intelligence tests. First of all, an aptitude test. An aptitude test is designed to predict how well you will perform in the future. A good example would be an SAT test. An SAT test will determine how well you will perform in a higher education institution. An achievement test, on the other hand, is designed to assess what you've already learned. So this might be a chapter test or unit test that you take in a class, or an AP exam. It's assessing what you've learned in that class. Today, the most widely used intelligence test is not the Stanford-Binet. However, it's called the Wechsler's Adult Intelligence Scale, otherwise known as the WAIS. It was created by David Wechsler. This test has two subgroups or subtests. One is verbal, which is similar to questions that you would be familiar with on an intelligence test that deal with verbal comprehension, basic arithmetic, reasoning, vocabulary comprehension, and general information. But it also has another part to it, which is nonverbal, called performance. This would be like block assembly, pattern formation, picture arrangement, picture completion. The discrepancy between the two parts, the verbal and performance part, could indicate a learning disability. There is another version for children under the age of 18, which is called the WISC, or the Wechsler's Intelligence Scale for Children. A researcher, James R. Flynn, recognized in 1984 that ever since the advent of intelligence tests, scores have continued to rise. They call this the Flynn effect, named after him. There are three things that are needed in order to develop an intelligence test. In other words, three test criteria. The first one is standardization. This is pre-testing a large group in order to compare future scores to. Many of you may have been a part of a standardized group. This is normally when a test is given, but it usually doesn't count towards, let's say, graduation. This is just giving us baseline to figure out what should be the average, what should be pass, and what should be fail, so we can compare these future groups too. Reliability involves giving us consistent results, or eliminating the guess factor. So here you might divide the test in half and give a question about a certain concept, and then on the other part of the test, the second half of the test, we'll be looking at the same concept just worded differently. If someone actually understands that concept, they'll get both of them right. If they don't, they'll get both of them wrong. Someone could guess and get one right and one wrong. So this eliminates that. Also, retesting certain populations will make the test reliable. Validity. If you're going to give a test, the test has to measure or predict whatever content you're looking for. For example, if you're taking an AP Psych test, it shouldn't have questions, heaven forbid, about calculus on it. There are two types of validity: content validity and predictive validity. Content validity is actually testing a sample. This is like a hands-on. This would be like your driving test. You're proving that you are a competent driver by going out and following the rules of the road. Predictive validity is a test to predict your future behavior. This might be like a written test for your driver's permit. This is, you're answering questions to determine whether or not you will be a safe driver in the future.